How you doing, everybody? Brian Sr. here. If you are a true blue, red-blooded, liberty-loving, Bible-thumping, gun-toting, truth-seeking, fed up with the status quo, tyranny-smashing, tossing the tea overboard, American patriot, agent of change, then you are in the right place. We're going to put our heads together. We're going to do what Americans do best. We're going to solve problems. We're going to educate one another. We're going to encourage one another as we lift up our families, our friends, our neighbors, and our country. The American dream lives here. Today, we are in Redlands, California. We are joining up with the Inland Empire Liberty Coalition. They're having a rally out here. It's the We the People United rally, and we're going to be celebrating American values. We're going to be celebrating American history, and we're going to be focused on the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. We have a couple of speakers that are coming out. We have our old friend Douglas V Gibbs is going to speak on the Constitution and the First Amendment. We also have, all the way from Fort Wayne, Indiana, the co-founder of the Inland Empire Liberty Coalition, Mr. Chris Lee. He's going to be speaking to us also for a few minutes. Jared Gustafson is the leader of the Inland Empire Liberty Coalition. He's going to be acting as MC, introducing to people. Mike Giordano, who is the co-leader of the Inland Empire Liberty Coalition, he will also be speaking. We've got these kids coming down from the Mountain Fife and Drum Corps. If you don't know what a Fife and Drum Corps is, it's awesome. It's basically colonial times, Revolutionary War era drums. They got the snares, they got the big giant bass drums that you hold up on your chest and beat like this. They got some flutes, and it's time period correct. They've got the costumes, the whole getup. It is a blast. These kids are great. They practice their butts off so that they can perform at these events, and they do a great job. It's a real treat. If you haven't seen it before, you gotta watch it. So we're gonna be out here. We're gonna have a good time. We're gonna go for a little march around town and kind of go around the block and just celebrate America, celebrate unity in America. You know, America was founded on e pluribus unum, you know, out of many one, and we need to get back to that. There's too much division, there's too much hate, there's too much strife. We need to focus on the things that we have in common, and we're trying to do that as the Inland Empire Liberty Coalition. As a group, we're trying to find ways to improve our community. So I mentioned last time that I have a 800 toll-free number now, so I'd like everybody to get involved, to call that. If you got ideas, if you've got ways that you're improving your community, share with us so we can implement that in our community and other people can watch and implement it in their communities. We need to band together for good, for positive results. That's what it's all about. So the 800 toll-free number is 833-9832-708. If you go to politicaltruths832.com, there is a contact us section at the bottom where you can email your ideas. Like I said, call the hotline. I call it the Agent of Change hotline. So call the Agent of Change hotline if you are an agent of change or you're interested in becoming an agent of change. Call up, bounce your ideas off of us, leave a recording, leave a message 24/7, 365 days a year, night or day, anytime. Call, tell us your ideas. If you've got ideas for the show, if you've got ideas, if you, like I said, if you're making a difference in your community, we need to know about it so we can represent our communities in the same way. So anyway, this should be fun. I hope you stick around. It's going to be a great time. Brian Sr. with Political Truths 832. I am out.
Welcome. So we are the Inland Empire Liberty Coalition, and we exist to champion American values. We believe that in 2021, it's a unprecedented time to celebrate what makes this country so incredibly great. So we are out here to champion American values, and if that is you, just give up a little cheer. Let's hear a medley from the Fife and Drum Corps, and then we'll bring up our constitutional expert. rally. Any American of all ages can come together today to unite under the banner of American values. Specifically, we're going to celebrate the freedom of speech today. And we're going to remind the governing authorities of Redlands and of the county of San Bernardino and of California, Newsom himself, and even all the way to the White House, that this is a country of we the people, by the people. Can you get behind this? Mike Giordano is going to lead us on a small march through the city of Redlands, and we're hoping that you will grab a flag and follow us. But before we do that, will you welcome a constitutional scholar, an author, and a radio host? He goes by the name Douglas V Gibbs. Please help me welcome Douglas to the stage.
Hello, Patriots. You know, after what just recently happened, a lot of people have been telling me they're in fear right now. They're worried, they're nervous, and my first response is, are we not Americans? Are we not the people who believe in rugged individualism? Are we not the people who are descended from those who fought a revolution, fought to eliminate slavery, fought world wars, fought to liberate people around the world in Korea, in Vietnam, in the Middle East? Are we not those people?
Amen.
And we're worried about a handful of socialists from a party, and I'm going to tell you right now, we are the majority.
Yep.
There's more of us than there are of them. Now, when it comes to our country, I want to remind you of a story and then give you a little background on somebody. Some of you have heard this. As Benjamin Franklin stepped out of the Constitutional Convention, he was approached by a woman in a bonnet, and she asked, "Doctor, what have you given us? A monarchy or a republic?" And he responded, "A republic, madam, if you can keep it."
Yep.
He directed it to her. If you can keep it. She was a woman at a time when voting was not exactly afforded to her part of the population. But see, we're not a democracy, we're a republic. He didn't say keep the republic. Keep the democracy. He said keep the republic. So what could she do? She was Elizabeth Powell. She was the wife of Samuel Powell, the mayor of Philadelphia. They had a business that was basically like a bed and breakfast, and they served these opulent dinners to attract the most notable travelers, the Adams of the day, the Jeffersons, the George Washingtons. And after the dinner, the men would retreat to the parlor to light their pipes and talk politics, and Elizabeth did something that was not very common back then. She followed the men into the room, and she would argue politics with them. If you read about her, you find out she was silver-tongued, she was brilliant, she was well-informed, and she changed a lot of their minds. She was the first influencer. That's how you keep the republic. You get to know these people, and you influence them, and in some of their cases, you fill them with fear of losing their office.
Yep.
You influence them, and you do so by being informed and active. This whole country's been through trials. I mentioned some of the things we've been through before, and we have always endured, and we will endure this one. Now, the thing is, someone says to me, "Doug, I wish the Founding Fathers would have given us a template for keeping the republic, something we could follow, some model we could use." And they did. It's called the First Amendment.
Yep.
In the First Amendment, there are 5 rights that are enumerated: freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of press, assembly, and the petition to the government for redress of grievances. Let me change that around a little bit for you. Pray about it, talk about it, write about it, gather about it, and be activists about it.
Yeah.
The First Amendment tells you everything you need to know for keeping the republic.
Yep.
This is a country of rugged individuals. It always has been rugged individualism. We are Americans, and we're not going to put up with this.
Nope.
We are going to stand firm. And let me explain something. That U.S. Constitution, that's not a Republican document. It's not a Democrat document. It's not a conservative document. It's not a liberal document. It is an American document.
Yes.
And it is because of that document we have this freedom to gather and say what we're saying. It is because of that document that we are free, we are prosperous, and we have a much more future ahead of us. Much more future ahead of us. Not only for ourselves, but for our posterity, as it says in the preamble. We do this not just for ourselves, but for our children and our grandchildren and those not yet born.
Amen.
I'd like to thank you for having me here. I'd like to thank you for what you're doing. This is awesome. I'm impressed. And I want to leave you with one more thing. America is worth fighting for.
Amen.
Will you guys give it up one more time for Douglas V. Gibbs?
All right.
He has several books over here if you'd like to check it out, and he has a nonprofit that's devoted to celebrating the Constitution. We are going to, at this time, go on a small march, and we're hoping that you will join us. Who's down to join us for a small march? Yeah? Okay. We've got several flags over here. We also have this as a resource table. There are 7 things that we've put together as a coalition, 7 different ways that you can practice and celebrate the freedom of speech. So we're hoping you'll visit our resource table and grab a flag and go on a small march with us now. They're going to reconvene at this park, at Hale Park, for 2 small speeches that celebrate and endorse American values and the right to freedom of speech.
Thank you.
celebrate, endorse, and defend American values. Today we are celebrating the freedom of speech. Give it up. We celebrate by applause the Mountain Fife and Drum Corps. We want to take a time to celebrate the men and women who serve us, the police force, the EMS, and military veterans. With that, this is my friend and a fellow member of the Liberty Coalition, Lori, and she's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please take your hats off, put your right hand over your heart.
We're going to put the flag in their view, your hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Once again, the Lake Arrowhead Mountain Fife and Drum Corps. don't know, the Mountain Fife and Drum Corps is a non-profit devoted to educational opportunities for the youth. They train the youth in discipline, in musical proficiency, and in history. And I had the honor to participate in that corps for 6 years of my life, and it helped me really get grounded at the beauty of American values. So one more time, the Mountain Fife and Drum Corps. As we experienced the unfolding of several different social political events this last year, I had some specific conversations with a friend of mine from Fort Wayne, Indiana. In some of those conversations, we realized that we wanted to rally, but rally in a way that didn't just oppose radical left-leaning ideology, but rally in a way that celebrated and endorsed American values. And so that's what we're here to do as an Inland Empire Liberty Coalition. So I'm going to bring up, he's an author of a recent book called Confessing Church. He's an MMA coach and fighter. He's a real estate investor, and he's my personal friend. Will you help me welcome the co-founder of the Liberty Coalition, Christopher Charles Lee. Woo! This thing's on. Guys, is everybody having fun right now?
Yeah.
Because, like, if we're winning, we should at least, enjoy it, While messages might make us feel otherwise, it's okay for us to acknowledge that we're a part of a global movement, not just a national movement. You're a part of a new conservative age. So we're here today, yes, to celebrate free speech, but to celebrate the rise of a new conservative age and the inevitable collapse of left-wing globalism. So if we could take a moment of silence to celebrate our wonderful victory in the inevitable fall of the cabal, we'll just go ahead and do that. Guys, I'm kidding. We don't need to be silent. Everybody, as Jared mentioned my book, I recently wrote a book, and it's super fun that we're here talking about free speech today, because I wrote this book. It's called Confessing Church, and yes, it does oppose some modern thought, but it's an expression that though we're many, we're one. Though we are many, we're one, that the Christian message, the Christ-centered message of our oneness in Christ is the greatest message, and it is the modern medicine that we need. The publishers that initially published the book got a complaint and quickly turned around and canceled the book and wrote me a letter expressing their thoughts on the book being hate speech. Right? So we had some exchanges back and forth, and in which I asked them to cite some examples of the hate speech which they found. But guess what? They didn't have any, and they didn't give me any. But guess what? When you're winning, you just keep winning. I published a book on a small platform. It got 50 sales in 3 weeks. Well, guess what? I turned around and started a publishing company. Liberty Coalition Publishing. Right? So, this book, which was launched on a small platform that could only do so much, is now launched on a global platform and is in 25 nations. It turned around and in 1 hour sold 50 books.
That's right.
So it's simply to say, when you're winning, just keep winning.
Yep.
Yes.
When they tell you to be quiet, you just keep doing what you do.
That's right.
The beautiful thing that we acknowledge is that our rights don't come from a government.
Nope.
We are the only nation on the face of this planet that is founded on that notion of freedom, that acknowledges that your individual rights are given to you from an almighty Father.
Amen.
Yeah. Governments of men are instituted
to protect and secure those rights.
Keep your doctrine and covenant. Keep your gun.
So let me say this. Let me say this. If the government doesn't give you a right, can the government take it away? No. Truthfully speaking, are we in a fight? Well, yeah, kind of. But let me say this. As a coach, yes, I coach mixed martial artists, but something that I would tell athletes, whether I was coaching in volleyball or football, they'd come together and say, fight! 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 Win! Win! There's a place to acknowledge that you have a liberty, that you are at liberty. You have the freedom of speech. You know, the biggest concern is not that somebody with a pen could pass some law that could cancel you or put some bad mark by your name. The biggest shame is that we would be shamed into not exercising our liberty. Guys, today is a victory march. Today is a victory march. What we just did was such an example of freedom, was such an expression of freedom. Simply today, all that I want to do is to encourage you to know your liberty and express it, and to exercise it, and to exercise it, and to exercise it. And all the while, to smile. Right? This is something I've picked up. Even though the other side thinks that they are winning, why is it that we still have more joy?
Yep.
If we stand with truth, the long ball, we win.
Yep.
Truth wins.
Absolutely.
I'll share one quick story and move this along. So when I was a teenager, and this is funny. So at a young age, I encountered Jesus, and it changed my life. Jesus transformed my life, and I couldn't stop talking about him. And so I went back to school. I was in a public school system, and I loved being there because I felt like God lit me on fire, and then just took me like a torch and was like, "Here, look at me." And so me and my brother started a Bible study, and the thing exploded. Like, the thing exploded. When the Lord breathes on something, it goes, right? There's a little bit of kindle, you put some wind in it, and all of a sudden it goes up. And this thing just went up. And I had a mentor who came alongside of me and said, "Hey, I want you to understand there are people here at the school that don't want this. And so you need to know your rights. You need to know your student bill of rights." And they gave me this pocket student bill of rights. And I was like, "Oh, well, that's really nice to know." And they educated me on what I was allowed to do as a student. And I was like, "Oh, sweet." And so I took that as a platform. We started making announcements, putting flyers up, inviting people. Our events were freaking awesome. We had tailgate parties. I mean, yeah. So, needless to say, we started putting these things up on the announcements. And one day, my principal cornered me in a room when it was just me and the teacher that was teaching the class. And she began her conversation with me and said, "Hey, Chris, I want to talk with you about this Bible study that you have." And I said, "Yeah, you're right. It's pretty cool." She said, "Well, you keep putting these announcements out, and I just want you to know that that's not a good thing. See, there's other kids that don't get to do that, and I don't think it's fair that you're doing that, and it's kind of offensive." To which I said, "Hey, this wouldn't have come out of my mouth except for by the Spirit of God." I looked at her and I said, I'm all of 15 years old. I said, "Ma'am, I appreciate you having this conversation with me, but I know that I am allowed to do this." She said, "Well, but it's not fair. What if we had some alternative lifestyles and people who feel this certain way, then they want to do something else?" And I said, "Well, if they have a teacher as a sponsor and they create an advertisement, there's no reason that they can't. So it's totally fair that I'm putting out these ads." And she said, well, I'm just going to ask you not to do that because there's a time and a place to do what you're trying to do, and it's not here. And I said to her, I could go to private school, but I don't want to. I'm here for a reason, and this is it. She threw her hands up in the air and walked out of the classroom. Yeah, and I have to say, that is not because I'm a courageous dude. In the moment, I'm this goofy, I'm a goofy kid who would go to basketball games and do cheer rallies and take my shirt off and just yell. I'm a goofy kid. But in that moment, I'm like, oh man. And after the moment, I was like, what did I just say to her? Frick, what the world? The reality is I had a mentor who informed me on what I was able to do, what I was allowed to do. So somebody couldn't just intimidate me and say, you can't do that. When she said, you can't do that, I respect you as the principal, but I know that I can. Right? So over here, there's information that can inform us on what our rights are and on how we can support freedom of speech. Because guys, we're winning, and it's time to just keep on winning. Woo! Amen, guys.
Are you guys inspired by Chris Lee? Yeah. Got off the plane from Fort Wayne, Indiana to California, and he just stands to continually encourage us as a Liberty Coalition. And I believe that what God's doing with him could be a nationwide movement of people just gathering and endorsing and celebrating their liberty. So give it up one more time for a good friend, my best friend. He's going to be at our meeting tomorrow as well. So in case you guys don't know, we are the Inland Empire Liberty Coalition. We exist to endorse, defend, support, and celebrate American values. And that's what we're out here doing today. Will you just wave Jeanette? Where's Jeanette Wilson? Where'd she go? Jeanette Wilson. Jeanette Wilson is in the back. She has 7 different ways to celebrate and utilize freedom of speech. So she's going to walk around and pass out a pamphlet that we made as a coalition. So please grab one of those. Okay. We want to hear from co-leader Michael Giordano. Michael Giordano. He's a co-leader of the Inland Empire Liberty Coalition. He's an activist, a real estate agent, and he's my personal friend, a loving husband, and supportive father. Michael Giordano.
Woo!
We really appreciate you guys being out here tonight, this afternoon. We really do. One of my greatest heroes of all time is a guy by the name of Patrick Henry. One of his most famous statements was, give me liberty or give me death.
Yep.
But another one of his great statements is this: the Constitution is not an instrument so that the government can restrain the people, but the Constitution is a document so that the people can restrain the government. Lest the government come and try to dominate our lives. And in the last 12 months, we have experienced in this nation more dominance from the government than we ever have in my lifetime. And now it comes down to who are going to be the people that are going to stand for something. Because if we don't stand for something, we will fall for anything. We live in a country right now where when you speak the truth, it's considered to be hate speech. We need to be in a group of people who are willing to sacrifice whatever is necessary. If you look at the lives of the Founding Fathers, many of their lives, their homes were burned, they were jailed, they paid an enormous price for what our country stands for today. This flag, for the Constitution, for the Bill of Rights. These people stood so that our country could be free. And now we have been put in a crucible. Our nation is under not only a test, but we are going to find out who are the heroes and who are the cowards in this generation. And this is a time where we need people of backbone, moral courage, and not to be afraid. One of the greatest sinister things that has happened to us in this time is they have muzzled us by putting masks on us and telling us to stay away from people because they are infected with some kind of disease. And that is the most sinister, demonic thing that they could have ever done to our generation. Because they want to muzzle our voices and take our voices away from us, and they want to break up community. And we need to say, this is over. We, the people, have decided this is over. We are going to stand for something in our generation, and we will not bow to whatever the government tells us to do. The government works for us. We don't work for them. Thank you so much.
Woo!
Was that powerful or what? All right. Guys, we're going to conclude soon, but I just want to personally encourage you from my heart to your heart as a fellow American, and I just want to encourage you guys to use your freedom of speech. For the student in the classroom in high school, for the student in college, at your workplace, and in and out of the grocery store, the gas stations, the streets, that you would use your voice to celebrate the beauty of this country, that you wouldn't shy back, don't be afraid, because there's something powerful in you as an American. And so that's my encouragement to you. And I think that history books will speak positively of us if we plan to write the book together. So I just want to encourage you guys to join this next story with us as a coalition. If you're interested in what we're doing as a coalition, stick around. We'll have some chats. A few of us are going to go to the Tartan and eat some dinner. We'd love to connect with you. But just give a high five to the person to your right real quick. And the person to your left, just give them a high five. It feels good to be an American. And like Chris said, this is not just a nationwide movement. So many countries across the world are looking at you. So many people. I have friends in Kenya. I have friends in Mozambique. I have friends in South Africa, in Australia, in Japan. I have friends all over the world, and they keep reaching out to me. They want to know what's happening in this great country. Because as the United States goes, so much of the world goes as well. So continue to be an all-American patriot. Continue to enjoy, celebrate, and endorse and defend your God-given liberties. Your God-given liberties. All right, one last cheer for the United States. And God bless. We'll see you guys soon.
How you doing? It's Brian Senior Political Truths 832. I'm here with Adam.
Adam O'Connor.
Adam O'Connor, and he came down to the rally today for the Inland Empire Liberty Coalition, the We the People United rally, and seems like an interesting guy. I wanted to ask him a couple questions. So, what brought you down here today?
I have two drummers in the Mountain Fife and Drums Corps.
Awesome, they were great.
Yeah. So, and we also, of course, love to attend these rallies because we love to celebrate our freedom and stand up for our liberty.
So what stood out the most for you today? What are you going to take home from this?
My take home is that we need to be vocal about our liberty, celebrate it publicly. We need to know that we are like our friends up there said, we're winning. We're on the winning side. That gives me great hope. And when you win, you continue to win, and that's true. Absolutely, it's a truism in life. So I think the concrete takeaways are, of course, all the things that we know to do. Call your representatives, right? Make them think that there's a possibility they're not going to be in office anymore if they don't act, because this is for real.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I appreciate you coming down and talking with me for a second, and hopefully we'll see you guys around soon. We're going to try to plan more of these events, and if you guys have events that you have coming up, share it with us.
Absolutely.
And there's strength in numbers, and we need to start putting together groups that we can support one another. What's your
Absolutely.
name? Elizabeth? Did you have fun today? Yeah. Do you guys do a lot of this stuff?
Yeah.
That's awesome. How did you get involved with the Mountain Fife and Drum Corps?
We have a lot of friends in it, and joined about a year ago or so. And it's just really fun. It's amazing.
What do you like the most about it?
I love performing. It's so fun.
Yeah, you guys did a great job. I appreciate you guys coming down. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good day.
Alrighty.
Brian Senior Political Truths 832. I'm out here at the We the People United rally that was sponsored by the Inland Empire Liberty Coalition. I just ran into a gentleman here who has a local Tea Party group. It's Redlands Tea Party, is that correct?
Redlands Tea Party Patriots, yes.
Redlands Tea Party Patriots. What's your name, sir?
Greg Britton.
Greg Britton. All right, well, I'm glad you're here today. We're kind of a newer group, so I know you guys have been around for a little while. Is there any encouragement and advice you might want to give to us as a group to help us get along, progress?
It's real important in the leadership to put your egos aside.
Right.
And it's for the team, it's for the group. And a lot of groups have floundered on dissension in the leadership. We've been fortunate, we've been able to keep our group going since 2009. And we've made a total change of leadership over that time. And that's many groups flounder on that, is when the first group steps away, it falls apart. Fortunately, we were able to keep it going.
Yeah, you gotta train up people to get involved and be a part of the movement, because the movement's bigger than any one person or group of people.
Keep it fun. It has to be fun. It's an important cause, vital cause, but it's got to be fun. People got to want to come to your events.
Yes. So, do you guys have events like this, or just meetings? I know you meet at Mill Creek on Thursdays.
Meetings, we do street corner rallies, we do canvassing during election time. Voter registration, we do market night. That's been closed down here because of the coronavirus situation. It's nuts, because they're outside and everything. Okay, it's closed down. We always have a booth here once a month.
Okay, that's awesome.
Many of our people are involved in the school choice initiative that we're trying to get qualified for 2022.
That's huge.
We call Gavin Newsom. We've been heavily involved in that.
That's awesome. So, as far as like if I'm an average everyday citizen and I wanted to start a group, what kind of advice would you give to me if that's someone out there thinking about doing this on their own?
You need that core dedicated group of leaders to the group. I would also raise a question, I mean, do you want to form a new group, or can you fill in and fit in with somebody that's already existing?
Yeah, that's good advice.
Yeah, that may be. Maybe there's a niche for your group, and that's fine. Because we all need to work together. As I was explaining to some of your leaders, is we want to work together. We need to work together because the enemy,
we need the network.
They all work together.
Yes. Yeah, that's one thing that I've been preaching to a lot of people, is it seems like we're light years behind the left as far as organizing and getting their political will accomplished.
Yep.
All right.
They're many things, but they are dedicated warriors for their cause.
Yeah. All right. Well, is there anything you'd like to share with anybody special that you guys got coming up? Or
well, our next meeting is going to be first Thursday, March 4th, 7 o'clock at Mill Creek Cattle Company in Mentone. Our primary speaker is going to be Graham Ledger, who is with One American News.
Okay.
So we always have a good time there. And we start at 7, but people start arriving for dinner and get good seats at about 5:30. Hope to see you there.
All right. Well, thank you so much for talking with us. I appreciate it. God bless you. Brian Senior, Political Truths 832. I'm here at the We the People United rally. It was put on by the Inland Empire Liberty Coalition, and I got a couple of friends here that I wanted to ask some questions, talk to. Your names, please?
I'm Chris Lee.
And?
David Johnson.
Chris Lee and David Johnson. So what brought you guys out here? I know Chris, I'm lying, I do know these guys. So. Chris is from Indiana. He's a co-founder of the Inland Empire Liberty Coalition, and he came out here to visit friends and be a part of the rally. So what was your biggest takeaway from the rally today?
Oh man, it was so encouraging to see the spirit of everybody,
right.
The unity. That march was just crazy. Yeah.
I saw some of the people in the restaurants were getting excited about it too, pulling out their phones and all that stuff. So that was cool.
Yeah. It was good to see. Sometimes you don't know what the pulse is across the country, and to come out here and still feel like people are winning is awesome.
Yes. Okay, and so what brought you out here today? David, right?
Yeah,
okay.
So my friend Jared Gustafson saw his post on Facebook in 2 days with the flyer. I've been to a couple of these rallies before. I figured I should be here.
All right, very good. What was your biggest takeaway from it? What did you enjoy the most?
I would say the gathering of freedom-loving Americans, flags flying everywhere, red, white, and blue.
Yep.
Just an assembly of freedom, is always exciting for me.
Yeah, so
yes.
If I were to ask you, what can we do as average everyday citizens, what would be the most important thing we can do to try to start to get the ball rolling, to take the power back? I
know, I throw a big heavy-duty question on you there.
Oh, well, you got the ball rolling. We need to continue to come together. We need to continue to come together and doing what we're doing and allow it to grow. This populist movement is being decentralized from single figures and is being mass produced all over the nation and all over the world, and we just need to continue with our business.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, David? You got any ideas as an average Joe American citizen like me and you? What can we do? What's the most important thing we can do to affect our communities and take the power back? What do you think?
Well, I might be a little more radical in my approach.
Oh boy, here we go. Here we go.
So, you know, I might ruffle a few feathers with the kind of things I have to say. I would say, you know, if we had a lot of the things we thought to be, you know, we have people who go overseas, they fight for our freedoms, right? And they practice, you know, a God-given right, but also their job, their duty, you know. If we want to keep these same freedoms that were fought for, that were bled and died for, you know, and also fought for, you know, this last year we saw a lot of violence. We saw a lot of treachery in our nation. We saw treason. We saw a lot of pillaging. And I feel like the radical left has done so much to desensitize us to that.
Right.
But yet, in many ways, they set the precedent. It's almost like it's okay to riot and be radical if you're leftist, but if you're right-winger, you know, you just got to keep things nice and peaceful.
Yeah, there's a definite double standard.
So that's a standard and the precedent that we live by because we've chosen to be peaceful. We've chosen to be moral. We've chosen to take the higher ground because that's our belief system. We believe in Christianity. We believe in a peaceful gospel. But on the other hand, we know that there is another alternative. I'm not saying that alternative is better, but I think there comes a time where if you want to keep the things you believe in, if these things are worth living for, they may also be worth dying for.
Yeah.
You know, it's what I'm getting at. And at what point in time that takes place and what that means, I'm not exactly sure. But I do think at some point in time, with the erosion of civil liberties, it could require a little more aggressive posture.
I spoke about that on my last podcast, and I'm with you. You know, I'm willing to die for my country, die for freedom, die for liberty. And one of the points I was making is, right now we have an opportunity to do easy things, relatively speaking. You know, if we go to our city council meeting, if we go to our Riverside County Board of Directors or whoever, and if we start pestering the election officials in our counties to make sure they clean the voter rolls, there's a lot of stuff that we can do that's a lot easier than the hard stuff. And we're all willing to do the hard stuff, but are we willing to do the easy stuff? You know, because I see it all the time, and I even say things myself that's like, I'm ready to do this or that, but am I ready to do the easy stuff? So I think that's something that we need to consider. And I don't know, what do you guys think about that point of view? Yeah?
No, that's the struggle is sometimes knowing how to get in on that local scale.
Yeah.
You know, we're fed so many messages, and it's intentional, I believe, that as your shirt says, shut up, stop thinking, do as we say.
That's right. Yeah.
They want to feed you messages that make you feel as though there is the federal government has this big boot that they're going to stomp down on top of you, and that the Almighty One is sitting on the throne and he's going to make a rule and it's going to change your life. Reality is that prior to the forming of the United States, each state functioned as though it was a sovereign nation. And I think with what we're getting ready to see, local bodies will take back their power, states will take back their power, and people will start beginning to become active in those simple ways that we frankly have not known that we could be.
Yeah.
Or we just weren't tuned in.
I think everybody in our country, we're comfortable. You know what I mean? And now we're starting to be made uncomfortable. And I think that's what's fueling this this desire to get involved and to fight for what is rightfully ours.
Yeah.
And hopefully the pendulum's going to swing back the other way. And I think that's the next big propaganda campaign that they're going to put forth, is they want us to think that guys like the three of us are the minority. And I don't think that's the case. I think the majority of people in the United States think similar to us. They love their freedom and they don't want to be silenced. And I think that's the next big propaganda campaign, is to make us think like we're on the outside looking in. And we're not. That was one thing that the left learned in 2020, is there's a heck of a lot more of us than they ever thought.
Terrifying.
And so anyway, I'm glad you guys took the time to talk to me. I appreciate it. And hopefully we'll be seeing more of you guys. I know you're going back to Indiana, but we'll keep in touch for sure. And thanks again. Brian Sr., Political Truths 832. I'm out. How you doing, Brian Sr., Political Truths 832. We are here with Peyton, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, Peyton is a member of the Tea Party Patriot group here in Redlands, and he's agreed to give us an interview. I came over to talk to him because I thought his shirt was awesome. It's very appropriate for life in California.
I got this for Christmas.
Yeah, that's awesome. You got the Gavin Newsom shirt. Have you guys been participating in the recall Newsom petition stuff? Yeah.
Endlessly we have.
Yeah, that's awesome.
In fact, we played a major contributor in that role.
Oh, that's.
And send the message where it needs.
That's awesome.
No matter how small or how big we can get it across. We're nearly this far to getting it complete.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what other kind of stuff do you guys do as far as getting active in the community with your group?
Well, as far as much as what I'm here for, and what I know is we're implementing the School Choice Foundation, which we have been contributing and having to get the idea across here for years, and we've been doing it on a grand scale. Many parents and kids are completely on board of this, no matter what political end of the aisle you come from, Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, Green, whatever you belong to, it's perfect.
Yeah, that's.
And the idea behind it is stagnating.
Yeah, that's a huge thing, and you're right. That's something that we can all rally behind, because everybody wants the kids to have a good education and nobody wants anybody left behind. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me, and I'm sure our paths will cross again. I'm planning on going to a couple of your meetings, and I'm sure we'll meet again, brother. Thank you.
We're always going to need more like you in our meetings.
Absolutely.
And we're glad to have you in the crowd with us.
Very good.
And there's hundreds of patriots hundreds of patriots that go to our meetings.
That's awesome. I can't wait.
Our main hall.
I can't wait to see it. All right, Brian Sr., Political Truths 832, and I'm out. Thank you.